Okay, and welcome everyone. Now we are going to be ready to start our first session, and I'm very happy to have with me our good friend Antonio, which is actually Portuguese.
Yes, I'm Portuguese. I'm speaking from Paris in English.
Yes, in English. Bom, se quiseres podemos falar aqui umas palavras em português, apesar de provavelmente temos alguns vírus estrangeiros, mas depois fazemos a apresentação em inglês.
All ups well.
Okay. So Antonio, how's everything going?
Well, good. I'm here in front of my webcam with a few lights, and I've increased the font of the ID and everything. So I hope it's going to be clear. This talk will be clear. It's about Quarkus, MicroProfile, and microservices. It's always a challenge to have a remote talk in front of people that you don't see. So I hope you're going to enjoy.
Well, hopefully, I'm pretty sure that it will. So I'll be monitoring our web chat, so no worries. I'll try to pass any feedback to you. So yes, like Antonio said, Antonio is going to talk us a little bit about Quarkus. So I'm really excited about that because I actually work on Quarkus, as you know. But anyway, so Antonio, thank you so much for joining us. So the stage is yours. So feel free to start.
Well, thank you for having me, in this funny period of time. It's always
Yes.
good to keep on talking to people. So shall I share my screen then?
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
Here we go. So I'll have a few slides, but as you will see, only a few. So this talk is called When Quarkus Meets MicroProfile. So I'm Antonio Goncalves. I'm a Java champion, but basically I'm a developer. I've been working with Java for a long time, microservices, but it used to be called distributed services at the time. I've also wrote a few books on Java EE, but 2 books on Quarkus that I will show you at the end. I talk at conferences physically and lately virtually. Hope I will go back to physical conferences one day. And I also organize conferences. I'm the DevOps France organizer. You can follow me on Twitter and you can check my website with my blogs, books, and everything. Okay, so this talk, I will quickly introduce Quarkus. And when I say quickly, it's just a couple of minutes. I'll quickly introduce MicroProfile, again, only a few minutes. And then I will code and code and code. And then it will be the end. So it's there are a few slides, but it's mostly a coding session. So let's start with the beginning. What is Quarkus? The way I like to define it is to go back to their website, quarkus.io, and read the sentence at the top. And the sentence says, Quarkus is supersonic. So it gives you the sensation of speed. Subatomic, gives you a sensation of small. And Java. So this is quite important. It's quite catchy. I like it. Supersonic, because when you come from traditional Java EE, the development cycle is slow, the bootstrapping is slow, the deployment is slow, and with Quarkus, all that is speed up. As you will see, I'll be mostly coding with Quarkus live, and you will see that my code will recompile and everything. So the sensation of speed, then subatomic, sensation of small. Again, if you compare with old Java EE framework, those frameworks usually work at runtime. You have some Java code, you put that into a WAR file, and once you deploy at runtime, the container starts doing things, creating proxies and configuring the application, but at runtime. Quarkus goes the other way around. Most of the work is at build time, meaning that your jar has everything compiled in it. If you have if you need to compile proxies, they will be compiled at build time, not at runtime. So that gives you also less memory, less resource consumption. And at the very end of the demo, I will also use GraalVM, and we will have a look at the size of the packages. And Java first, even if Quarkus supports Kotlin and other languages, it's really made to run on Java hotspot, on GraalVM, and Java as the first language, even if there are other languages supported. And then you stay on the same website, and there's this other catchy paragraph at the bottom that I also like. Quarkus is a Kubernetes native Java stack tailored for open JDK and GraalVM, and that's important. You can use Quarkus anywhere. You can even write CLIs in Quarkus. You can write web apps with Quarkus. You can deploy on premise. But it's true that it has Kubernetes in mind, Docker in mind, the cloud in mind. So it really, if you don't need it, it will still work. But if you need any Docker support, as I will use Kubernetes or something like that, it will really help you to make it easy. OpenJDK, very important. A lot of people think that Quarkus only runs on GraalVM. That's not true. It's mostly, everything that you know in Java, all the frameworks will all run on Quarkus with hotspot. Then the support of GraalVM is really easy again, but you will enter this new world of GraalVM where maybe some of external frameworks will not be able to compile in native binaries. So again, I will show you at the end of the demo. And the last sentence is crafted from the best of breed Java libraries and standards. And that's important too, because Quarkus is quite new, 2.5 years, but you already know Quarkus. If you've been using JAX-RS, REST-easy, and Hibernate, CDI, it will work on Quarkus. So even if the runtime is new, it's a new kid in the block. Most of the APIs that you know run on Quarkus. So that is for Quarkus. Then MicroProfile. MicroProfile is Java for microservices. Basically, it's a specification that standardizes a few microservices design patterns, and it's standardized at the Eclipse Foundation. It's open source, very important, and there's several players behind this specification. So if you don't know MicroProfile, again, quite new, 4 years old, I think. Have a look. It's really, there's a few implementation on microservices design pattern that run with Java. So this specification cover open tracing, open API, REST client, which is a specification to invoke remote microservices, config, how to configure an application and a microservice, fault tolerance, metrics, JWT propagation, health with health checks and so on. And then comes specifications that are older because they come from the Java EE world, CDI, JSON-P, JAX-RS, and JSON-B. So that's today the MicroProfile 4.0. This specification belong to MicroProfile 4.0. I won't be using them all, but quite a few. So I'll be using OpenAPI, REST client, fault tolerance, CDI, JSON-P, JSON-B, and JAX-RS, and also reactive messaging. The MicroProfile specification has a set of specifications that are standardized, and some are being developed, like reactive messaging, and it might enter the microprofile specification. So today it's called a standalone specification, and it might get into the microprofile. So these are the APIs and standards that I will be using in this demo. What will I build during this demo? Well, microservices. I will run one microservice with a REST endpoint that creates a book. Basically, we pass the title of a book and it responds with an HTTP post. It will send back a JSON representation of this book. And a book needs an ISBN number. So I will create a second microservice with Quarkus that will just send back ISBN number. I will make them talk to each other. And as you will see, it's quite easy. And sometimes this connection breaks. So how do you handle fault tolerance? And I will show you how to do that in a very easy way. And once the network is broken, what can we do? Well, why not develop another microservice that will receive messages from Kafka? So let's do that. I will package that into jar files, but I will also turn that into binaries thanks to GraalVM, and I will show you the speed that you get compare with a Java jar. And I will use Docker to containerize that. So you can get the code of this presentation. I even commit a few lines of code an hour ago. So feel free to go to my GitHub account and check the code and give it a try. There's even the README that you can follow. So I'm going to write 3 microservices with Quarkus, Hotspot and GraalVM, Docker, and all that in 30 minutes, fingers crossed. So I'll now jump to my IDE. I hope it's clear enough for you. I have 4 terminals behind because 3 will be running microservices and 1 I'll be using curl commands. Here it's completely empty. I have no Java code yet. The only thing that I have is Docker compose file with Kafka, because I will be starting Kafka from this Docker compose file. And that's it. I have no Java code whatsoever. The only thing that I have is a few scripts that I'll be running. So you have 3 scripts that do the same thing. They use the Maven plugin, the Quarkus Maven plugin, to create a microservice. So I'll have one that will create the book microservice, another one that will create the number microservice, and another one for the fallback listening on a Kafka topic. Okay. So let's start completely from scratch. So I'm going to execute this bootstrap book. It's going to create a Maven project, a Maven structure with an artifact called book. And I'm even creating a book resource class. So as you will see, there's a bit of code in it. I'll give you a path. So this microservice will listen on /API/books. And remember that it sends back a JSON representation of a book. So I'm using a Quarkus extension called REST Easy JSONB. Okay, so let's do that. I'm at the root of the project, and I'm just doing bootstrap book.sh. That's all. The Maven plugin will create a book directory here, and let's have a look at it. It's a Maven structure. So there's the POM XML with Quarkus 1.13.7, a few extensions because I've added JSONB and REST Easy, and it also come with test extensions. So basically, there's a bit of Java code. So here I have a book resource that goes hello REST Easy, and if I split the screen, I will show you what the test class looks like. So here I have a simple REST endpoint that returns hello REST Easy, and a test class that checks that it returns hello REST Easy. Because I have several microservices, you know what I'm going to do? There's this application properties file, and it's where I configure the application and Quarkus itself. Because I will have several microservices, I'm going to change the listening port. So here I'm going quarkus.http.port 8702. Okay, so I'll have one microservice listening on 8702 and the other one on 8701. What can I do with that? Well, let's start Quarkus. So I go into book and I go Maven Quarkus dev. So I'm using the Quarkus Maven plugin in development mode, and you'll see why it's important to run Quarkus in development mode. You will see hot reload happening, and it's quite nice. So starters, Quarkus started in 1.1 second. And what does it do? Well, not much at the beginning. So if I run a curl command here at the bottom, I curl localhost 8702, that's the listening port, /API/books. So if I do that, hello REST Easy, fantastic. I can even go, let's go here to book and run the test. The nice thing with Quarkus is Quarkus runs by default on 8080. I changed it to 8702. And it executes the test in 8081. That's why I could do a Maven test without having to stop Quarkus, which is nice. And the test pass, of course, because it returns REST Easy and checks that it's REST Easy. Okay, but that's not what I want. So first of all, the method create hello, I'm going to rename it to create a Quarkus book. Okay, this method will consume text. Why? Because here I'm going to put the title of the book. Sorry, consumes, and it will produce JSON. It won't be an HTTP GET. I want to create a book, so it will be a post, and it will return a book. Let's create this book class. I'm going to create a book class here. Book. So a book class has a title. When we create a book, it has a title. A topic. It will be hard-coded because I'm only creating books on Quarkus. An ISBN number. So that's the interesting property, because this property will be set invoking an external microservice. And then, because I'm going to show you logs, and it needs to move a little bit. So when I create a book, I put a timestamp, said it has been created now. And I'm generating a toString, so it's easier on the logs. A book. So this REST endpoint creates a book. How does it do that? Well, it's book, new book, and let's set the properties. So book.title, and that will be the parameter title of the method. So that's what we're going to pass to the curl command. Then there's the topic. And as I said, we only create Quarkus books. So that's the topic. The ISBN, that's the interesting part. So we need to invoke a remote microservice. And let's put some logger. So you know what you can do is just inject a logger. So again, you see CDI in action. And here is a logger. And I will log info book created, and I'll pass it the book. And the method returns the book. To invoke that, let's pass a curl command doing a post. It passes text plain. The -d is the data, so it's the title. So as a title here, and it's understanding Quarkus, which is the name, the title of my famous book. And I do a post on API/books. So if I do that, you see that there's a timestamp, the title of the book, the topic is Quarkus, and you can see the logs moving here. You remember what I said about supersonic? I didn't have to start Quarkus. Quarkus, the Maven Quarkus plugin checks that I've changed my code. It recompiles my code, and when I do a request, when I do a curl command, it recompiles everything. So very easy. I didn't have to stop Quarkus, and I'm going to show you that I can go even further. I would like to have the Swagger API, the open API, the Swagger representation of this REST endpoint. And Quarkus exposes the Swagger UI at this URL. So 8702/q, it's for all the Quarkus tooling, /Swagger UI. And as you can see, there's nothing. Why? Because to have Swagger UI, you need to add an extension. So here I go, I'm on books. I go Maven Quarkus add extension, and I give it a name of this extension. And the extension that brings OpenAPI and Swagger UI is called smallRye OpenAPI. So when I do that, it changes the POM XML. It has a dependency. And as you can see, the POM XML has changed. Quarkus notices that the POM has changed thanks to the dev mode, thanks to the Quarkus plugin, and restart itself. So now I go back here. Here we are. I have this HTTP post, and I can even try it out and put a title, practicing Quarkus, and execute, and you'll see the logs behind moving. So, and again, without stopping and starting Quarkus. So that's nice. Let's add that to Git. So if I have a problem, I can come back to it. We have one microservice up and running. But what about the tests? They do not work anymore. So if I go Maven test, the tests will fail. So let's fix that. And you'll see it's important for later in the talk. So this test should create a Quarkus book. So given a body, so the body is the title of the book. So let's go title of the book. I don't do a get, but a post on API books. And I'm going to check that the body is JSON. So this JSON has a title, and the title should be title of the book. Then I have the topic. The topic is always Quarkus. Then I generate, well, here I have a ESBN. So I'm not going to check a value, but that the ISBN key exists in the JSON and the created at also. So now, sorry, if I run the test, it should be okay. Good. And you'll see that it's important that the test pass for the rest of the talk test. Brilliant. So we have one microservice running, tested. I haven't stopped Quarkus. Let's move on. Second microservice, the number. Again, I will run another batch script with a Maven plugin. It creates the number microservice, and this time it only sends text, not JSON, so I don't have the JSON-B extension. I go to the root, I execute the bootstrap number, and the Maven plugin does its job. It creates a number microservice, exactly the same thing. So here I have the number resource that returns hello REST easy, same thing. And I'm going to change the listening port, application properties, and it will listen on 8701. So now I go to number, Maven Quarkus dev. I'm starting this number microservice. And if I curl, so this time I will curl the 8701/API/numbers, it returns hello REST easy. So let's change that and said that's not a method hello, it's actually generate an ISBN number. I'm gonna add some logs, otherwise we won't see anything. Logger. And here, let's an ISBN number. It's a 13 digits. So I have a number, which is a string that starts with 13 dash and then a random number. It's not a, it's not a big deal. Let's log it, info, and ISBN number. And let's return it. So return number. Let's curl. Okay, you see that again, I haven't stopped Quarkus, and I generate ISBN numbers. Good. 2 microservices up and running. Git add, git commit, number. Let's make them talk to each other. For that, I'm going to use the MicroProfile. So if I create a book, the same curl command, it does an HTTP post on the first microservice. And now it's ISBN. We need to invoke a remote microservice. So for that, I will go into the book microservice and add a MicroProfile extension, the REST client extension. Maven add extension, the extension name REST client. So I'm adding an extension on book. You will see Quarkus restarting. So if you look at the book, what has changed? Just this extension, REST client. And now I have the REST client API. Okay, so let's cheat a little bit. You know, when we do microservices, the best design patterns is copy paste. So I'm going to take the number resource, and I'm going to paste it on the book microservice. And I'm going to rename it. It's not a resource, it's a proxy to the resource. So I'm going to call it number proxy. And number proxy is not a class, it's an interface. Interface, because it's an interface, I don't have code in it, but I have the method signature and the annotations. So it's a proxy to API that will be somewhere in the network on /API/numbers. I will do an HTTP GET. It will return text plain. There's a bit of magic from the REST client API. It's this annotation called register REST client. Okay, so that's it. I only do that. So that's a proxy. I'm on the book microservice, and I need a proxy to go and invoke the number microservice. Let's use it. Here, I'm going to inject this proxy, but it won't be with @inject. It will be with a new annotation from REST client, which is called REST client. So this proxy is a REST client. Good. Now this proxy, I will use it here. So the ISBN number, we actually invoke this, this remote microservice. Will it work? Well, let's curl. So the HTTP post, boop, no, it's not running. Why? Well, because it tells me that where is the number microservice? Which IP address? Somewhere on the network. So I need to set this property on the book, on the application property, and I need to say, look, the proxy, so it's the full package name, org, a Goncalves, talk, Quarkus, blah, blah, blah. So that's the full package name of the number proxy. And now I just need to tell it, well, where is this proxy? It's on localhost 8701. Of course, in the real world, you will let someone else to set this IP address, but here I make it simple. Localhost 8701, will it work? Whoops, the logs. Yes, it's working. So now I don't have the ISBN you should invoke. It's actually, you know, I'm invoking both microservice. That's fantastic. Yes, but now I have a problem. If I run the tests on book, the test will work. Why? Because number is up and running. So because now both microservices are linked to one another. If I shut down the number microservice and run the tests, well, it's terrible. You know, the test will fail because both microservices are linked to one another. What can we do? Mock the invocation. And for that, Quarkus helps us a lot. So let's create mock number proxy. This class is under src test. Okay, so it's in the test package. This mock will implement the number proxy interface. Therefore, it needs to implement the generate ISBN, and I go by dummy ISBN. And yes, I need a bit of Quarkus magic. Quarkus come with a mock annotation. And remember that I need to register this REST client. And that's it. So now if I execute the test again, by default, Quarkus will go, oh, I need to inject the proxy, but it's mocked. It's not ready. Why? It's lying to me. Register REST client. Sorry, I did. No, it's REST client. You know that I inject here REST client. So it's a REST client that I need to add. And now it should be okay. Fantastic. Both microservices are up and running, fully tested. That's brilliant. But if I do my curl post command, it doesn't work. The number microservice is down. And therefore, when I want to create a book, the book resource invokes the proxy. The proxy is not there. The network is down. It fails. Well, the MicroProfile to our rescue again. So I'm on the book. I will add another extension. It's called fault tolerance. So let's do that. Oh, funny. Sometimes Quarkus does that. I just had to restart Quarkus. I don't know why. I think there's a... okay, so what fault tolerance does is if something goes wrong, instead of throwing an exception, please do something a bit more clever. The way it works is I'm gonna copy paste the method create book and call this one fallback on creating a book, Quarkus book. So this method will take a title. It needs the same method signature. So it takes a title, creates a book, but the problem is here. So here we will write needs to be set later as the network is down. And here it's a bit of a problem. So let's do a warning. Go fallback, book not created. And there's a bit of magic needed. We need to add the fallback annotation. And this fallback annotation takes a fallback method. And that's the name of the method underneath. Okay, so if I do my curl command again, you will see the warning log. And the ISBN needs to be set later. And as soon as I start the number, it will pick up the network here. You see, I generate ISBN numbers and I can create books with ISBN numbers. And as soon as I stop, then it goes back to warning and falling back on the falling back method. So as I said, that's how easy it is to invoke a remote microservice and to fall back gracefully. I'm running a bit out of time. So let's commit that fallback. And let's jump straight into Kafka. So I have another script. I'm going to execute it here. Fallback. So that creates a microservice. So I'll go to fallback. Yes. So that generates another project. And this time It's not a REST endpoint, so I can get rid of all that. And it's actually, sorry, I'm doing a bit of copy paste here because I'm running out of time. And this method will listen, logger. So this inject, oh, I think I have a problem. I wonder if my ID has refreshed or not. Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, so what I do here, I use this incoming annotation that comes from the microprofile specification reactive messaging, and I go listen to a Kafka topic called Fallback. Okay, so I need to configure this Kafka topic Fallback. So here I'm going, there's this topic called Fallback. It's Kafka and it receives a string. Good. So let's start this microservice. On the other hand, I need to, on the other hand, I need to go back to my book microservice, add the reactive messaging extension. This way, I have all the needed APIs to go back to my book resource, inject what we call a channel. So here I'm going inject a channel called what? Well, called Fallback. Remember, I have an emitter to send what? A string. I'm going to send the string representation of the book. So this way, on the Fallback method, when it falls back, I will just go send the toString representation of the book. So when the number microservice is down, I will gracefully fall back and send the book into a Kafka topic. And I need a bit of configuration, of course. So on the book, I said, look, this is the outgoing. The topic is called Fallback, and it's a Kafka topic, and I'm sending a string. What I need to do is Docker compose start Kafka. And now when I do a curl command, you can see, oh, sorry, the logs. You can see the logs moving on the left and on the right. So that means I'm falling back due to the warning, and I'm sending a string on a Kafka topic, and one microservice is listening on the other hand. And if I start the number microservice, I'll do the same, but this time, because I can generate an ISBN number, my book can be created. My Kafka is not receiving any message, and I go back to breaking the network, and here we go. That's how easy it is. Oh, sorry. That's how easy it is to implement microservices with Quarkus. I'm running a bit out of time, and I'm just going to do one thing while I finish my slides. So I'm stopping everything. Oh, doesn't want to stop. Yes. I'm stopping the book. And I'm just going to go to number. And number, as we've seen, Quarkus dev, in development mode, the number starts in 1.1 second. If I do Maven clean package and let's keep the test, skip test. Quarkus will generate a jar file, an executable jar file. And the test. Maven test keep equals true. Sorry about that. So Quarkus generates an executable jar. And this way I can go Java jar. Everything is there. It's starting 0.6 seconds. And, you know, it works. And I was mentioning the support of GraalVM. So what I'm going to do is while I finish my slides, I'm running this method, Maven clean package, skip true, and the magic happens here. Quarkus package type native. And by doing that, it will compile natively in a native binary our application with GraalVM. And that takes 5 minutes. So during these 5 minutes, I'm going to go back to the slides, and then we will finish with what I've just showed you. So to finish the slides, it's really, if you liked this presentation, where to go next. And you should definitely start with Quarkus.io. There's a lot of information. My favorite is the guides, the Quarkus guides, where you see a lot of articles, some getting started, a lot of articles on different Quarkus topics. There's, of course, the GitHub. Quarkus is open source, is all happening in the open. Go to the GitHub Quarkus.io. There's samples, there's tests, there's the code. It's really nice to understand what's going on. If you are stuck, of course, there's Stack Overflow, there's all these things, but you can also ping the team on Zulip. And I have to say, these guys are really fantastic. They're always answering on Zulip. So go there if you need some help. There's also the mailing list to stay in touch with the releases of Quarkus, what's happening with Quarkus. So there's this Google group. And I've used the Maven plugin to start projects because I found it easier to write some code and bash scripts. But you can do exactly the same on .quarkus.io. And then a bit of advertising here. You can go to my blog. I've mostly blogged about Quarkus lately. And from there, you can see my wonderful books and also online courses on Quarkus. And, you know, you can follow me on GitHub and Twitter and so on. So as I promised you, I only have 3 minutes left. Quarkus has helped me in compiling the binary with GraalVM because it's quite complex today to compile something with GraalVM. There's a lot of intricacy. What happened behind the scene? Well, under target, I have a 28 megabyte binary. Inside, there's our code. Inside, there's the dependencies, REST easy, CDI, but also the needed JVM and GraalVM. So it's a binary, you know, a standalone binary, and you execute it like, you know, any binary. So beam in 0.01 second. And yes, it works. We can get our book numbers. I have 2 minutes left. I don't know if there's any questions. I don't know if I have time to answer. So I hope you liked this talk. As I said, you know, everything is online. Go to my GitHub account. There's all the code and also the README. So you can follow along. You can do exactly the same talk that I gave. Do it to your colleagues. So I hope you liked it. And enjoy the rest of the show.
Hey, Antonio. Hey, thank you so much for this great presentation. So I'm trying to see if there is any questions from the audience. I mean, so far, people are saying that they enjoyed your presentation. They are asking for the GitHub link. I'm not sure if you...
It was on the slide, but
yeah, probably people didn't. So you can just either show it for a little longer or just give me a copy and I'll just paste it around.
Okay. Yes, here it is. So I have, sorry, I need to share the screen again. Is it okay? Can you see it?
Yeah, I mean, just you can, if you can paste it here on the Zoom chat, and I'll just paste it back to the social media. Yeah, so it's probably easier.
Let's do that. Let's do that. It will be easier. Chat. So yeah, don't hesitate to go to the repository, and you have all the code and all the details.
Wonderful. Yes, Antonio, I think we're pretty much out of time. So yeah, thank you so much for the presentation. Thank you so much for keeping it on time. And hopefully we can see each other again next year here in Portugal live.
Of course, I will be there. I'll be
there. Okay.
Thank you, and have a nice day. Nice conferences.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.